are you hiding? You better come out now! Nobody can help!
Amy Rose is one of the oldest Sonic characters in the franchise, predating Knuckles the Echidna in terms of their official in-game debuts. But strangely, she's in a state of limbo in the Sonic series with no current discernible personality, which is crazy considering how distinct she was as a part of the overall Sonic cast. So let's go over the changes Amy has gone through and the fluctuations in her personality over the years to decipher where she shines best and how to perfect her characterization moving forward. Let's begin this journey to discover just what makes this character so... Amy Rose began life as a damsel in distress. She didn't have much of a personality besides her innate desire to chase Sonic down and get kidnapped. It's funny because in hindsight, she had no real fire to her character. Very shy, reserved, and was basically just a girl to get rescued or get kidnapped. Without her instantly iconic Pico Pico hammer, it's quite clear that the writers working on CD didn't have any kind of ambitious ideas for Amy. Understandable for the hardware it was on, but regardless, it's quite the contrast to her next appearance. Sonic Adventure. The series took a more story and character-driven direction and brought Amy back with an entirely reworked, well, everything. Amy's story showcased a more primitive yet still good interpretation of this new personality that she was given in the series. She finds birdies and swiftly decides that the right thing to do is to help it find its home. This by no means is a complex example, but it still shows off Amy's inherent compassion, which, as we'll discover later, is an essential element to her character. This is best showcased in her interactions with Gamma. Amy was the one who changed Gamma's perspective on life and made him realize that he needed to free himself, that he was more than his programming demanded. She of course gave him the appropriate amount of sass and didn't cooperate with his demands, but even so, she pleaded for help. When Gamma was too confused to respond, he made the connection with the birdie, right before freeing the prisoners. She told Gamma that he was different, that he was unlike the other robots. She could see the good in him. Even after Gamma attempts to kill Sonic on the Egg character, she doesn't let her hopeless devotion to the blue blur blind her from the reality that this robot really is different. He's fighting against his programming, and that's clear to her, so she sympathizes with him. That's the thing about Amy. It is that her compassion is an essential aspect of who she is. In the darkest of situations, she won't resort to anger with those she sees good in. She will instead attempt to stop the fighting and use her words to find a solution. To skip ahead a bit here, this is also seen in Sonic 06 with her confrontation with Silver. Bearing the baffling lack of communication skills, somehow making it so that Silver and Amy were not aware they were searching for the exact same person.
I sense Sonic's presence here.
When Silver and Sonic finally do come to blows, Amy makes it extremely clear that she believes Silver is just flat out wrong. She firmly plants her feet and makes Silver ponder the consequences of taking Sonic's life. She changed his outlook, not by telling him what to do, but because her actions touched his heart. To see that somebody cared for the Iblis Trigger so much made Silver think, what if this person is more than just the Iblis Trigger? As you can see, Amy naturally changes those around her for the better. She's so kind and compassionate that no matter the odds, her actions bring the best out of others. She's not a therapist or a great speech giver, but just like her one and only love, she very much prefers actions over words, and her loving personality is an infectious one that seems to spread to all of those around her, lifting her friends higher no matter what. Now, her compassion may be one of the most important parts of who Amy is, but one cannot talk about Amy without talking about her temper. The temper of Amy Rose was probably her most defining trait during the 2000s, which leads us to my favorite characterization of Amy Rose in the entire franchise. That, of course, being Sonic X. In Sonic X, Amy would often attack Sonic with her Pico Pico hammer, and she was the only thing that could truly slow Sonic down in his moments of overbearing cockiness. But even so, this is easily one of Amy's best attributes. Anger like Amy's is easily mishandled and even easier to misinterpret, but with proper writing, it can be made into one of her most engaging attributes. The thing about Amy's anger towards her friends is that it never comes from a place of hate. She's always going to love Sonic, she's always going to love and care for her friends, but that won't stop her from putting them in their place. That dynamic must be very clear to the viewer, otherwise she will come off as loud and annoying, which is a critique she's gotten from fans in the past. So my suggestion is to follow the example that Sonic X set. Amy Rose has a short fuse and will roughhouse, yes, but it all comes from a place of love. And most importantly, when things do get serious, she channels her anger into authority. This is something I went and touched on my IDW Sonic review. Amy in modern games has the status of a leader type character, which makes total sense to me. It shows a sign of maturity. She's still got a temper, but she knows how to let loose, and she knows how to channel those emotions into leadership. But lastly, let's cover Boom Amy. For context, by 2012, Amy was very much in the same position as every other Sonic character was, besides Sonic and Tails. Ripped of all their personality and only given 2 traits. Now, one could make the argument that Amy was always one-dimensional, but that's simply not true. Although to the average person, they of course know the gimmick of Amy's character is that she loves Sonic and, in her more extreme incarnations, is outright obsessed with him. But that's only in Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes whenever you look back on it. As mentioned in Essay 1 and 06, the nuances Amy's personality had showed her strong will and assertiveness, which outweighed her lovesick aspects to her character. I think her love for Sonic is adorable and shouldn't go away, but it definitely needs to be balanced more with her mature side. And where Boom comes into play is that they did the exact opposite of what I just said and changed Amy's personality completely. Now of course this is a spin-off, so expectations must be tempered, and you've got to be open-minded. And with that said, I do love Amy in Sonic Boom. Due to the games in this sub-series being a total and utter disaster, we only really have the cartoon to work on to give us the characters' personalities. Amy has most certainly retained her temper, shouting a lot at the fellow cast members, but she's also far more sarcastic, but is also very silly and youthful in standard girl character type ways. Explaining Boom Amy is pretty extremely simple because, well, she's extremely simple here. She doesn't have all the layers that her modern counterpart has. She's just really funny and well done for the setting she's in. So overall, while good in Boom, I think it also goes to show that Amy never really took off in the fan base because of this universe's depiction. Before my final thoughts on how to handle the future of this character, let's cover her amazing modern design. Amy's design got an overhaul that in my opinion is way better. Her quills now act more like hair hanging down without losing their spiky look. Her outfit now a bold, striking red with white highlights demanding attention. After all, red is considered the most powerful of all colors, which naturally attracts attention. And the cutesy design of the dress is able to counteract the inherent boldness that comes with the color red, allowing Amy overall to still keep her cutesy design. Overall, Amy Rose has been through quite a lot in her stay in the series, going from a shy, quiet, lovesick fangirl to transforming into a more independent person whose good deeds and compassion have the power to change anyone worth saving to the side of good and hope. But nowadays, it's not so clear where she stands. It's easy to see where more famous characters like Shadow, Knuckles, and even Tails have fallen from grace and are far cries from the people that they used to be, but not Amy. Amy, as of now, is just as I like her in the IDW comics. And so, this is definitely the easiest where I want this character to go in the future segment I've ever had to do in terms of an analysis video. I want her to continue in the direction that the IDW comics have her going in. I think that that is a great interpretation of the character, and I hope that that is brought over to the mainline games. Amy is the light in any darkness, with one heck of a temper, and by far being the most kind and compassionate character out of the entire Sonic cast of characters, and for that she isn't given the recognition she deserves. Amy Rose needs to be not just brought back as a playable character, but as a main character story-wise. As the strong, confident leader that binds the group together, and the potential for her to take that role is so easily realized with her current depiction in the franchise. So with all that being said, this is one fantastic character. So I ask you, please, don't overlook the importance of Amy Rose.